Dan Dickau here for the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. Not in our normal recruiting location this week in Spokane, based on the fact that I'm here on the west side in Tacoma following my son's team at the state tournament. But keeping a close eye on everything going on at the WCC tournament. Looking forward to watching Gonzaga play in the semifinals down in Vegas, where they will face more than likely Santa Clara out of that side of the bracket after getting the triple bye all the way to the semifinals. But had a couple thoughts that I wanted to share after the all-league honors were released earlier in this week. If you're a Gonzaga fan, more than likely you watched the game on Wednesday night where they hosted Chicago State on senior night. They scored over 100 points. I believe the final score was 104-65. And in that broadcast, our group with the regional broadcast crew of myself, Greg Heister, and Richard Fox, we touched a little bit about the all-league awards and all-league teams. And Richard Fox, I thought, showed a lot of passion and a lot of pride for, what he felt was a disservice to Drew Timme winning the Player of the Year award, as well as guys like Anton Watson getting overlooked. So what I was going to do is I was going to quickly go over the awards and who won them, what they were, and what I feel the WCC needs to look at in regards to cleaning up the awards, because I don't think this year put a lot of glaring mistakes in those awards. So all league, you had 3 players from St. Mary's, and I don't discredit or disagree with having 3 players on the all league simply because the WCC has a 10-team first team all league. I don't understand why you have a 10-team all league and a 5-team second team all league, or a 5-player all team, 5-player second team all league, and then honorable mention. I think it should be first team, second team, third team, honorable mention, or just go first team, second team, honorable mention. But that being said, here's the 10 guys who were all league. 3 of them from St. Mary's: Logan Johnson, Aiden Mahaney, Mitchell Saxon. Gonzaga had 2 players, Drew Timme, as well as Julian Strother. Santa Clara had 2, Brandon Pajimski and Carlos Stewart. The Dons of San Francisco had 2, Khalil Shabazz as well as Tyrell Roberts, and LMU had 1 with Cam Shelton. The second team was made of Marcellus Erlington from USD, Keyshawn Justice from Santa Clara, Maxwell Lewis of Pepperdine, Moses Wood of Portland, and BYU's Fusini Traore. And then there were a number of players that were honorable mentions, such as Tyler Robertson at UP, Moses Wood at UP, Anton Watson, Kelly Leapepe, Keelan Boone from Pacific, to name a few. But 10 players on an all-league team, to me, make a pick. Who is it? Because, again, there should be 5 first-teamers, not a list of 10. It goes to show, like, you could easily make an argument for a couple of those guys to have been on even just honorable mention. You can make a point where a couple guys that were honorable mention should be on one of these teams, even if it's just the second team. So again, it should be 3 separate distinct teams and then honorable mention. I mean, you got 10 teams in the league. You got to be able to find a way to differentiate and really spotlight the players that have stood out through the course of the season. And the biggest omission on the all-league teams, in my eyes, is Anton Watson. Shot 65% nearly from the field during the WCC play, averaged close to 13 points per game on the season, was one of the best defenders and most versatile defenders throughout the course of the year, not just for Gonzaga, but any team in college basketball. So I thought that was a big-time miss by the league as far as placing players on all league teams. But really what I wanted to focus in on, in addition to the fact that Anton should be on one of those all league teams, and then the fact that the way that the teams are split up, a 10-player first team, to me is too much, is the Player of the Year newcomer of the year, coach of the year, I think they've missed the boat with how that went. The player of the year, in my eyes and estimation, should have been Drew Timme solo. Brandon Podziemski, to me, is a terrific player. Averaged 20 points, about 8 rebounds a game. Went from, he's a great story. Went from averaging a point and a half or so a game at Illinois, where he didn't get an opportunity, to Santa Clara, where right off the bat, he had back-to-back 30-point games, and he's kept his strong play going throughout the whole year. He really willed Santa Clara to a top 3 finish. The Santa Clara team that a lot of people thought was going to take a step back after losing Josip Vrankic to graduation, but more than that, Jalen Williams, surprisingly to the NBA draft, didn't know what to expect. Podziemski stepped in, didn't skip a beat. He was terrific. But to me, Drew Timme was the player of the year in the league. He's going to be a 3-time All-American, and he will be sharing the Player of the Year award in the league, which I find surprising. Again, not a slight to Podziemski, but that award should have been Drew Timme's. The coach of the year, I have no issues. I think Randy Bennett did a terrific job. To spotlight a couple of the other coaches, they could have been chosen for this award, and I would have had no qualms or reservations or frustrations with it. I think Coach Few has done an amazing job this year based off of what they lost a season ago. I thought I don't want to call them unreal expectations, but the lofty expectations that were placed on them in the preseason rankings due to the fact that Drew Timme was coming back, Rasir Bolton, Anton Watson was going to be back, Malachi Smith was a new transfer. The expectations were really high. And for Gonzaga now to be sitting at 26-5 heading into the WCC tournament is pretty dang impressive. And so he's got that crew focused, energized, ready to play some really good basketball going into the postseason. Another coach that I thought, had he gotten the nod as the coach of the year, I wouldn't have been surprised, and that would have been Stan Johnson. That team was a little bit inconsistent at times, but a top 4 finish for LMU. They're the only team since BYU has come into the league to knock off Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU all in the same year. Those 2 wins, in particular, the ones I mentioned against St. Mary's, which was in LA, was against a top 25 team. The win against Gonzaga was in Spokane against a top 25 team, as well as having broken a 75-game home winning streak. So had Stan Johnson gotten the nod for coach of the year, would not have been surprised. The other coach that, had he won the award, wouldn't have been surprised, and that would have been Herb Sendek. Very similar to what I mentioned about the Podziemski. The expectations, they didn't know what to expect from him. Santa Clara didn't know how they were going to replace Vrankic, didn't know how they were going to replace Jalen Williams, who was a lottery pick in the NBA draft. So what he's done there has been nothing short of terrific. I think it shows the depth in the quality of the coaches in this league. The Newcomer of the Year award, I have no reservations with that going to Brandon Podziemski. I think he absolutely deserves that award, because you go from averaging a point and a half at Illinois, no one knows what to expect, and he has the year that he had. He is the Newcomer of the Year. But it's hard when you have a Newcomer of the Year and freshmen are lumped into that, and there's no specific Freshman of the Year award in and of itself. So I could see how Aiden Mahaney could have possibly gotten the Newcomer of the Year award because he was new to the league. But go add a go add a Freshman of the Year award to the list of what's being presented. You've already screwed up the awards list as it is. Might as well just add another list to it. And if that were the case, and if I were the one making the decisions, you would have had a Freshman of the Year award, and that would have gone to Aiden Mahaney of St. Mary's. So a little bit of a rant to finish off of what Richard Fox absolutely started on the broadcast the other night. There's a lot of really good players and a lot of deserving players in this league that deserve recognition, that did get recognition. But I think the mistake was Drew Timme should have been the Player of the Year. And then I think the WCC has got to clean up the players on the first team All-League, second team All-League, third team, and honorable mention. So for Gonzaga Nation Media Network, I'm Dan Dickau.